Welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm Sheldon, and this is another episode of Behind the Enthusiast. Today, we are taking a look at an item that I've been wanting to put on one of my bikes for a very long time, and that is the Optimate State of Charge Monitor. So, as you guys can see, this is a plug-in for your battery, for your motorcycle. I'm sure you can put it on some other vehicles as well. It does list ATV, Sea-Doo as well. But the reason I'm putting this battery monitoring system on the bike is, well, it's actually my 2017 Yamaha SCR 950. And for anyone who owns one of these motorcycles or even owns a Yamaha Bolt, pretty sure you guys know exactly why I'm putting this on there. And that is because the battery is not easily accessible. It's very difficult to charge during the winter. And with this item, you actually get a little charging system right there, so you guys can see the lights on there. It actually tells you what the state of the battery is. That's why it's called a state of battery monitor. So I'm going to be putting that on the bike today. So I'm going to run through the installation process, what panels need to come off, which ones don't, that sort of thing. So for anyone with the SCR or a Bolt, it should help you guys if you have a Bolt. The SCR has a slightly different design to it, and for those of you who have a Harley or a Honda, stick around so you guys at least see what this thing does, so you guys can make a decision on whether or not this is something that you guys want to put on your bikes as well. Obviously, you can get just standard leads without the light indicator on it, but this one was a really good deal, so that's why I picked this one up instead of the standard one. So let's get into it. So first things first, we have to remove the side panel of the SCR. Just basically comes off using a Phillips. So as you guys can see, I've already loosened this one off. So you take that off first. And as you guys can see, that's where that was screwed into right here. So that's what you're taking off. So it exposes the side panel underneath. And then, of course, you come over to the left-hand side of the bike and do the exact same thing. Once you have the side panel off, you guys will see right up in here, we've got this bolt here that needs to come off. That is going to be holding the seat on, and we are going to be using a 10 mil socket for that. There you go, 10 mil socket, so that's what we're going to be using to take the seat off. Now, once that bolt is off, you can push on the seat just a little bit, moving it forward. Otherwise, you're just pulling up. So you guys can see that bolt that was there, that is gone, which allows the underside of the seat to come up. You guys can see that there. That's what holds the seat on. And of course, these little hooks here. That one there, and that one there. Those hook right into the back. That is what holds the seat on, and now you have complete access to where we're going to be putting the battery monitor. Now, the only thing that you guys may want to do, I did find it was really difficult to put this on, but this bar here should probably come off as well. It makes things so much easier. You undo both of those, you take this bar off, you undo this one up here as well, and this whole assembly basically you can just kind of peel back, and I don't think this really needs to get disconnected at all. I didn't disconnect this at all, this actual unit here. You know, there is fluid in there, so you don't want to be messing around with that, but if you have to, you're going to take off 1, 2, 3, 4 at the most. This basically all just comes off. It's just a plastic housing This just makes things a lot easier when you're trying to access the battery terminals. And as you guys can see, there is also a plastic cover. So I've got the 10 mil in there as well. So you're going to be taking off both of those bolts. Be very, very careful. There are 2 washers under there. They're kind of sleeve washers. They will fall down if you're not careful. So when you're undoing them, be very, very careful not to knock those down into the bike because you'll probably not be able to pull them out again. So be mindful of those 2. Now, once you guys have all of the terminals exposed, it's very simple, very straightforward. Other than the fact that you may want some helping hands. My dad didn't end up helping me. It was actually super, super tricky because you have these little square washers on the battery terminals. Those were also kind of tricky, so keep that in mind. But once you get over that, basically it's very, very straightforward. You run this in, you tighten everything back up, make sure you're putting positive to positive, negative to negative, you're not crossing them over. And once that's in there, you have a fuse piece. You can see that right here. That is just tucked underneath this plastic piece. So nothing is tight. Everything does have, some movement to it. So as you guys can see, it does have a little bit of movement there. So nothing is super tight. There's not pressure pushing on anything because as much as you don't want things to move around and rattle and, rub a hole in something or whatever, even though all this stuff is plastic, you don't want stuff to be kind of bouncing around. So there's a cable tie as well that you can keep using that to kind of hold things in place. But otherwise, that's more or less the installation process. It was a little bit more complicated than I would have liked to have had it been. So I could have recorded a little bit more for you guys, but it was just super, super complicated. So I've actually installed most of this without recording it, but that is the installation. And so once you actually have it installed, I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this. The little light at the top there. You guys should be able to see that. It's blinking. Let's see if I can put it in the dark. There you go. So that green light basically is just an indicator. Says that it's fully charged. You have this weather plug as well. So you guys can see in there. That's the terminal you're plugging into. So you can actually have this safe, secure. I think I'll probably end up putting some sort of little bag or box in here as well, just to give it some added protection from the elements, rain, dirt, whatever, because as you guys can see, the bike is pretty dirty under here. Yeah, pretty dirty. So obviously if you want to, just keep it a little bit more clean, you can add something to it if you'd like. But that is pretty much the installation. Not a whole lot to it. It's just really time consuming. Take your time with it. Be careful. Don't drop anything. Don't lose those washers. The battery terminals, they have those square washers on them. Those were kind of a pain. So be mindful of those 2 things and just take your time with it. It's not super difficult at all. I would say if you're doing it on your own and you don't run into any problems, or if you have someone helping you with the actual terminals, I think that's probably the hardest part. It should take you guys probably 30 minutes to an hour, depending on your skill level. If you're someone like me who takes their time, or ran into some issues, it could take you a little over an hour, but it shouldn't take you too much longer than that. And once you guys have everything buttoned back up, you should be able to see right in there the light as it's blinking. So you know that it's working. So it's very easy for you guys to put this on your bike. It doesn't matter what model. And I'm going to tell you guys why you should put this on your bike. Well, guys, that was the installation of the battery monitoring system. So these are the tethers that you would normally put on the bike. However, this one has that built-in unit which has a light indicator, tells you what level the battery is sitting at. So the reason you would want to put one of these on your motorcycle is if you have an SCR 950 or any other motorcycle where the battery is fully enclosed. I know there was a lot of pieces that I actually had to take off. I didn't show you guys the whole process of that, but anyone with this bike in particular, trust me, it's a little bit of a pain in the ass. Anyone with a Yamaha Bolt should be a little bit easier because the seat should be basically, you just take the seat off and everything should be accessible right there. So it should be a little bit easier. Anyone with, let's say, a Suzuki or a Honda or Harley, it doesn't matter. If you guys have a hard time accessing your batteries, much like I do with my Yamaha, it's definitely worth having one of these monitoring systems on your bike because A, it tells you the battery level, which is awesome because you don't really know unless you actually maintain your battery or put a charger on it, like an amp meter or whatever, voltmeter. So unless you're doing that on a regular basis, you don't really know the health of your battery, essentially. So it definitely adds that maintenance element to your bike. And number two, you get the tether anyway, so it makes it super easy when you guys go to plug your bike in when you're not riding it for a long time, like the winter, for example. So it's definitely a nice thing to have on your motorcycle. If you guys don't care about the health of your battery, you don't care about the monitoring system, you're like, oh, I don't want more electronics on the bike. I don't really care. You can go ahead and get a tether, a plain one. It just does the same thing, connects to those battery terminals, and you have a little plug at the end. You just don't have the lights. So you guys can put either one on your bike, but it just made a whole lot of sense for the price of what that one is actually worth compared to the other one. It just made a whole lot of sense for me anyway. I got a pretty good deal on it. I don't remember how much I paid for it, but for me, it was totally worth it. So if you guys are shopping around for something, compare prices and base it off of that, because if it's only another, let's say $4 or $5 just to have the light system built into there, I think that's pretty good. If you're spending $10, $15, $20 more, probably not worth it. But just look at your brands. Optimate is a really nice brand. So, if you guys like this video, make sure to smash that like button so I know that it's working. If you guys have any comments or questions about the installation or anything else about any other, any other product information, that sort of thing, leave those comments down below for me. And if there's anything else that you guys want to see me review or install or anything like that, be sure to leave those suggestions down below. I do have multiple bikes, so I do have a lot of things that go onto these bikes. Not just, bolt-on, aesthetics things, but obviously maintenance. It's one of those things. So if there's anything you guys are curious about, let me know, and I will try to address those in future videos. And in order for you guys to see those future videos, be sure to subscribe so you guys are notified when those videos get posted, and I will catch you guys in the next one.